Welcome, strangers! We have a fair few Resident Evil fans here at Cube 3, and so we've put together, in no particular order, the top 3 villains and heroes from the franchise. Let's kick things off with Leon S. Kennedy. Leon S. Kennedy is one of the franchise's top hero characters. He's appeared in many of the games, as well as most of the extra media in some form. His iconic hair and sarcastic demeanour often win him laughs and help players build a rapport with him. However, this demeanour wasn't his to begin with. Many players will fondly remember Leon's original appearance as a novice cop just trying to help people survive the original Raccoon City outbreak back in the 90s. With his earnest goodwill and classic RPD costume, he made a great impact. His appearance in this game would lead to the cementing of Leon as an indispensable RE hero. It was a surprise when he returned, dodging around rural Spain for Resident Evil 4, with his new floppy hair and brown leather jacket. Here he really found his feet as a government agent assigned to look for the president's missing daughter, Ashley Graham, whom he escorts through many sections of the game. Along with the new action-focused gameplay, Leon appeared more hardened and more cynical about the situation he was in. Something that's immortalised right in the game's title card with the famous, "Where's everyone going? Bingo?" While people initially rejected this new Leon, he quickly worked his way back into their hearts. He's the harbinger of action Resident Evil, as well as the master of the QTE, QuickTime events. Resident Evil 4 felt epic due to their relative newness. It made Leon's second landmark title one to remember with epic knife fights and classic one-liners. Since then, he's appeared in 3 animated movies, as well as the remake of Resident Evil 2 and the much-contested Resident Evil 6, each time being one of the highlights of the media. From his stylings to his bravado in the face of terrifying odds, Leon is a knife firmly embedded in the heart of most Resident Evil fans.
The first sign of being a genuinely great villain is always owning a castle. All the best have them: Dracula, Ultimecia, and most importantly, Count Duckula. While trying to escape, Salazar appears and taunts beautiful haired protagonist Leon and gameplay irritation Ashley, offering a trade of the president's daughter for Leon's survival. What occurs throughout the rest of the section is increasingly brilliant taunts over the comms system, meant for Leon but aimed directly at you as the player. Openly mocking your ability at every turn, what makes it all the worse is any face-to-face interaction usually ends up in the creepy child, I guess, escaping without a single shot landing. It's these little interactions that make Salazar such a great antagonist. Up until this point in the game, most enemies fulfilled the standard unsettling chanting and shuffling, or the unchatty robed figures pulling the strings in the background. Not only does Salazar want you to delve deeper into his gothic castle, but he wants to be part of the experience every step of the way, taunting you at every opportunity. In terms of difficulty, most of the castle segments don't present too much of a challenge, provided you have a sharp eye for traps and QTEs, and that they don't give you any bone-shaking anxiety while doing them. The final fight with Salazar, however, really does give players a run for their money. Taking down the combined form of himself and the Queen Plaga can really cause issues if unprepared. A perfect ending to a villain that's taken so much pleasure in the increasingly stressful situations he's put you through.
Claire began as a college student searching for her brother Chris, one of the first game's protagonists, and finds herself caught up with Leon in a Raccoon City incident. Her iconic look with the red denim biking gear gave her a nice contrast with the previous game's female lead, Jill Valentine, with her blue beret. Claire's often depicted in a caregiving role in almost everywhere she appears in the franchise, from guarding Sherry in Resident Evil 2 to helping out Barry Burton's troubled teenage daughter in Revelations 2. During those moments, she shows how strong and courageous she is, from facing extreme odds and just taking a deep breath before plunging into danger, to offering simple support like throwing a sly smile at a character who is a bit downtrodden. She also demonstrates great problem-solving skills in hard situations, often leading herself and others to safety. Starring in multiple games and movies from the franchise means Claire has been in the limelight plenty. Never is this more clear than in her latest incarnation in Resi 2 Remake, where her instinct for protecting others is portrayed amazingly through her interactions with Police Chief Irons and Annette Birkin when looking after Sherry. Her kind and caring attitude, paired with her cool-headedness under pressure, make her super endearing and helps her stand out versus many of the other protagonists of the series. And who doesn't like a well-kept ponytail?
If Mr. X was the original template, Nemesis was the definitive, perfected article. Building on the Mr. X design, Capcom took a long hard look at what made him nightmare inducing and thought, you know what? A rocket launcher and a grotesque noggin would really improve matters. Introduced in Resident Evil 3 with one mission, to kill any members of STARS in as horrific a way as possible, Nemesis stalks each area of the game, keeping players consistently in a state of nervousness. Even as a hardened veteran to the series up until that point, players were still thrown into a state of terror by some very clever games design. After his first experience, players will quite rightly, and a little cockily, dash for the nearest door. Controllers will be gripped a little less tightly and nerves reset as the loading animation kicks in for the next area. Escape successful. Now it's just time to crack on and find out. Oh god, he's come through the wall! It's this revelation that sets the tone for the rest of the game, ensuring that throughout its 7 to 8 hours playtime, are littered with not only pants-wetted set pieces, but also any previous safe space could become a death trap at any moment. With recent titles focusing on turning the relatable everyman into virus-infected killer machines, see for reference Ethan Winters, Jill Valentine shone through as the consummate professional throughout the Resi experiences. From her beret-wearing debut in the original Resident Evil, Jill shone through as a fan favourite with her level-headedness and lockpicking. Investigating what seems like sinister but natural disturbances in the mountains, Jill and the rest of the STARS team quickly become embroiled in a tale of zombies, snakes, and far, far too big spiders. Any sane person would turn heel and leg it, but Jill remains resolute in the mission, as well as finding her best buddy Chris, Nice Jacket Redfield. It's this dedication to the mission that pushes the player on through whatever terrifying sight may be around the corner, and this stiff upper lip continues throughout her other appearances in Resident Evil 5 and her starring role in 3. Whatever is thrown at her, Jill continues to push on and get to the heart of whatever conspiracy is put in front of her, going so far as to co-found the BSAA to continue the good fight against bioterrorism. Jill rules, and so does her beret.
Sunglasses in the dark? Check. Blonde slicked back hair? Check. American accent suddenly changing to a British bad guy accent? Check. Albert Weissker of the STARS Alpha team is a suspicious fellow. Right from the off, his demeanour is unusual, and that could be down to Resident Evil 1's hammy dialogue delivery, but it's most likely down to the 90s cool he looks. His first act is to split up the STARS team before he disappears for most of the game, reappearing for only a glimpse or a brief back and forth with the main characters. Turns out he was not only working against the team from the get-go, but that he was also working for the Umbrella Corporation. However, he is undone when he gets stabbed by a tyrant. For most villains, this would have been game over, but not for Weissker. He comes back for Code Veronica, stronger than ever, matrixed up by the T-virus, backflipping and kicking butt. It's in this game where his voice is inexplicably swapped accents, and also where his rivalry with Chris Redfield is established. His best appearance is as the mastermind behind Resident Evil 4, with his dark brooding overseer position, pulling the strings of Krauser and Ada Wong. This sly and sneaky Wesker is one of the best incarnations, sinister and solemn. This all bubbles to a head in Resident Evil 5, where he's back to his Matrix antics, supposedly killed by Jill Valentine in an act of self-sacrifice. Chris is spooked to hear his voice, and then to confront him. The conversations between them are so unbelievably overblown that it's ridiculous. The dramatics, the action, the dumbness, and yet it's so epic and amazing to experience that Wesker became immortalized with his cries of Chris! After throwing a bunch of QTE attacks the player's way, he gives a talk on why he needs to infect the entire world with Ouroboros before fighting Sheva and Chris in the middle of an active volcano, ending ultimately in his demise by the series' favourite rocket launcher. His iconic villainous, charm, suave, and general sleaze was and is unforgettable. That was Cube 3's top 3 villains and heroes from the Resident Evil franchise. Think we've missed anyone, or have any other points? Please leave them in the comments below. Resident Evil is a fantastic fun time, and the series is still running strong these days. With the latest game having just launched, maybe Ethan Winters can crawl his way into the top spot next time. Or maybe he's lost in silent protagonist hell. That's everything from us at Cube 3. Please like and subscribe for more content, and we'll see you in the next video.